My wife and her sisters decided to prank me by abandoning me at a gas station 200 miles from home. Figure it out yourself, they cackled and sped off. I never returned home. 3 years later, she tracked me down. Figure it out yourself, my wife Stephanie yelled it through the car window as she gunned the engine, tires screeching, gravel spraying. Her sisters Jessica and Vanessa were laughing in the back seat like it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. I stood there in the gas station parking lot in Billings, Montana, 200 miles from home. October wind cutting through my jacket, coffee still warm in my hand, watching their taillights disappear down Highway 90, just gone. My name's John Mitchell, 34 years old, construction foreman, married to Stephanie for 8 years. We'd driven up from Denver for her cousin's wedding, supposed to be a fun weekend getaway. Stephanie, her 2 sisters, me. The whole ride up, something felt wrong. Off, whispered conversations in the back seat, exchanged looks in the rearview mirror, giggling that stopped when I asked what was funny. Just sister stuff, Stephanie would say. You wouldn't get it. We'd stopped for gas an hour outside Billings, small station, middle of nowhere. I went inside for coffee and a bathroom break. 3 minutes, maybe 4. When I came out, they were already in the car, engine running, Stephanie in the driver's seat, her hand on the gear shift. Get in, Stephanie, I said, walking toward the passenger door. She locked it, actually locked it. Click. All 4 doors. Actually, we've been talking, she said through the cracked window, voice bright, cheerful. You need to learn some independence. Jessica leaned forward from the back seat. You're always so clingy, John, following Stephanie around like a lost puppy. It's honestly embarrassing. I stood there, keys to our house in Denver in my pocket, my truck, my own truck that I'd paid for, parked in our garage 200 miles south. This isn't funny. It's not a joke, Vanessa chimed in. It's a prank. You're always so serious, John. You need to learn to laugh a little. Stephanie's smile got wider, bigger, like this was the best idea she'd ever had. You'll figure it out. You're a big boy. Then she hit the gas. I watched them go, standing there with my wallet, my phone, and nothing else. No luggage, no jacket besides the one I was wearing, no plan. I called Stephanie immediately, straight to voicemail. Called again, same thing. Called Jessica. Voicemail. Tried Vanessa. Realized she'd blocked my number months ago after some argument I couldn't even remember. That's when I knew. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't a joke that would end in 10 minutes with them circling back, laughing, saying, gotcha. This was something else. Something that showed me exactly what my wife thought of me. I'd been married to Stephanie for 8 years. Met her when I was 26. She was 24. Waitress at a sports bar. Beautiful. Funny. Made me feel like I was the only person in the room. We got married fast, maybe too fast, but I loved her. Thought she loved me. Her sisters were always around. Jessica, older by 2 years, divorced, bitter about men. Vanessa, younger by 3, never married, never serious about anyone. They were a unit. The 3 of them. Always had been. Inside jokes I couldn't follow. Stories from their childhood I wasn't part of. Plans they made without asking me. And I was always outside, looking in, trying to be part of something that didn't include me. For 8 years, I'd ignored the signs. How Stephanie forgot our anniversary because she was helping Vanessa move apartments. How she missed my birthday dinner because Jessica had boyfriend problems and needed her. How every holiday, every vacation, every weekend was planned around what her sisters wanted. Family comes first, she'd always say. You understand, right? I was family too, or so I thought. But standing in that gas station parking lot, watching my wife drive away with her sisters laughing in the back seat, I realized something. I'd never been family. I'd been the accessory, the husband, the guy who paid bills and fixed things and stayed quiet when they made their jokes, the guy who could be left at a gas station 200 miles from home. The bus station was 3 miles from the gas station. I walked it, took 40 minutes in the cold, got the last seat on the 6 p.m. bus to Denver, 14 hours, overnight, $127 on my credit card. I sat in the back, stared out the window, checked my phone every 10 minutes expecting an apology, a call, a text saying they were turning around. Nothing came. Around midnight, somewhere outside Casper, Wyoming, it hit me. This wasn't about teaching me independence. This wasn't about me being clingy or dependent. This was about humiliation, about power, about showing me exactly where I stood in Stephanie's life. And I'd been standing there for 8 years without realizing it. When I got home Sunday morning, our house, the one I'd bought before we got married, the one with my name on the deed, the house was empty. Stephanie's car wasn't in the driveway. Lights off, door locked. I went inside. Everything looked normal. Nothing missing, nothing out of place, like nothing had happened, like I'd imagined the whole thing. I did something I'd never done before in 8 years of marriage, something I'd never even considered. I went through Stephanie's laptop, the one she left open on the kitchen counter, password saved, email open, found group chats going back months, years maybe. Stephanie, Jessica, Vanessa, thread after thread, screenshots of our text conversations she'd shared with them, my messages to her, private things, intimate things, with laughing emojis, with commentary, with mockery, photos of me sleeping, captions like, dead to the world as usual, and, does he ever actually wake up? But the thread about Montana broke something inside me, something fundamental. Jessica, we should totally ditch him somewhere and see how long it takes him to figure out how to get home. Vanessa, OMG, yes, mess. He's so dependent on Steph for everything. Like a giant child, Stephanie. You guys are terrible, Lowell. But also, it would be hilarious, Jessica. Do it at that gas station outside Billings, middle of nowhere. Perfect, Vanessa. What if he calls someone for help? Stephanie. He won't. He'll just take the bus home and be all sad and pathetic about it. Jessica. And if he somehow makes it home first, he'll probably just call his mom or something. They'd planned every detail. The gas station stop. The story about independence. Even betting on how I'd react. Making fun of me for taking a bus. Making fun of me for being pathetic. My wife. The woman I'd loved for 8 years. The woman I'd built a life with. I closed the laptop, packed a bag, and left. I didn't leave a note. Didn't lock the door behind me. Didn't turn off lights. Just walked out the same way they'd driven away from me. The difference was, I wasn't coming back. I drove to my brother Kevin's place in Colorado Springs, 2 hours south. Showed up at his door at 11 a.m. with a duffel bag and nothing else. He handed me a beer. Didn't ask questions. Just said, guest room's yours as long as you need it. Monday morning, I called my boss. I need a transfer. Colorado Springs project. Effective immediately. He didn't ask why. Done. Start Wednesday. I started building a new life. New job site. New apartment after 3 weeks. New routine. New everything. Stephanie came looking for me a week after I left. Found me at Kevin's apartment somehow. Probably called my mom, who would have told her anything. Knocked on the door. Kevin answered. He doesn't want to see you. I need to talk to him. Please. Kevin looked back at me. I shook my head. He's not here, Kevin said, and closed the door. She came back the next day, and the next. Left notes, sent texts, called my phone 47 times in 2 days. I blocked her number. Blocked Jessica. Vanessa was already blocked. 3 weeks later, she found my new apartment. Don't know how. Showed up at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. I opened the door. She looked terrible. Hair unwashed, eyes red, wearing sweatpants and an old college hoodie. I've been so worried, she said, reaching for me. I didn't know where you were. I thought something happened. I stepped back. What do you want? I want you to come home, so we can talk about this like adults. Talk about what? How you abandoned me 200 miles from home? How you planned it for months with your sisters? Her face changed. The concern dropped, replaced by something harder. It was a prank, John. You're acting like we committed a crime. You left me stranded. You laughed about it because you needed it. You're so dependent, so clingy. We thought if you had to figure something out on your own, maybe you'd grow up a little. I looked at this woman, this stranger wearing my wife's face, and realized I didn't know her, had never known her. I'm not coming home. Don't be ridiculous. Watch me. I closed the door, locked it, listened to her bang on it for 5 minutes before she finally left. 3 months later, I filed for divorce. Hired Patricia Chen, a family law attorney Kevin recommended. Sharp, professional, no nonsense. What grounds? She asked. Irreconcilable differences. Emotional abuse. I want a clean split. She found things I hadn't even thought to look for. Social media posts from that weekend in Montana. Stephanie and her sisters at a bar in Billings, raising shot glasses. Captions about girls' weekend and freedom. Posted at 11 p.m. the same day they'd left me at that gas station. In one photo, Jessica was wearing my Denver Broncos cap, the one I'd left in the back seat of the car. Patricia also recovered the group chat messages through legal discovery. Months of planning, laughing about my reactions, making bets about how long it would take me to crawl back home. Evidence of a pattern, evidence of intent, evidence of cruelty. The divorce hearing was in March, 6 months after I'd walked out. Cold day, gray sky, fitting. Stephanie's attorney, some guy named Richard who specialized in difficult divorces, painted me as unstable. A husband who'd abandoned his wife after a minor disagreement, who'd refused to communicate, who'd disappeared without explanation. My client has tried repeatedly to reconcile, Richard said, but Mr. Mitchell has refused all contact. He's acting irrationally and vindictively. Then Patricia stood up. She handed the judge a stack of documents. Thick stack, screenshots, social media posts, text message threads, bank statements showing I'd paid for everything. Mortgage, utilities, groceries, while Stephanie spent money on her sisters. These are text messages between Mrs. Mitchell and her sisters, Patricia said. Voice calm, professional, planning what they call a prank for months in advance. Here are social media posts from the night they abandoned my client 200 miles from home, celebrating their actions. And here are records of continued harassment after my client requested no contact. The judge, older woman, Judge Morrison, maybe 60, reviewed the documents in silence, flipping pages, reading, face expressionless. Stephanie's face went pale, white, like all the blood had drained out. Furthermore, Patricia continued, Mrs. Mitchell has been spreading false claims about my client's mental state to mutual friends and family. This is documented in these affidavits from 3 witnesses. This is a pattern of manipulation and emotional abuse spanning years. Richard tried to object. Your Honor, these are private conversations taken out of context. I'll decide what's relevant, Judge Morrison said. Kept reading. 5 minutes of silence, just pages turning, the sound of breathing. Finally, Judge Morrison looked up. Based on the evidence presented, I'm granting the divorce as requested. Assets will be divided equally per Colorado law. The court finds no evidence of abandonment or abuse by the respondent. Mrs. Mitchell, you're ordered to cease all contact with Mr. Mitchell effective immediately. Any violation will result in a restraining order. Stephanie tried to approach me in the courthouse hallway afterward. John, Please, can we just— Patricia stepped between us. No contact. The order is in effect. Walk away. I walked to my truck without looking back, drove to my apartment, poured a drink, sat on my balcony watching the sunset, and finally felt free.